What is nuclear spent fuel and nuclear power? When fuel rods in a nuclear reactor are spent or no longer usable, they are removed from the reactor core and replaced with fresh fuel rods. The spent fuel rods are still highly radioactive and continue to generate significant heat for decades. The fuel assemblies, which consist of dozens to hundreds of fuel rods each, are moved to pools of water to cool. They are kept on racks in the pool, submerged in more than 20 feet of water, and water is continuously circulated to draw heat away from the rods and keep them at a safe temperature. Where does it occur? As of May 2016, 30 countries worldwide are operating 444 nuclear reactors for electricity generation, and 63 new nuclear plants are under construction in 15 countries. How do humans affect nuclear power and spent nuclear fuel? At least 800 million of the world's 7 billion inhabitants are chronically malnourished, and tens of thousands die daily from hunger and hunger-related causes. Radioisotopes and radiation used in food and agriculture are helping to reduce these tragic figures. Humans also use it for insect control as well as industry medicines and preservation of foods. How can we minimize this? Plant owners can reduce the risks associated with spent fuel pools by removing older fuel from the pools and placing it in large containers called dry casks, which are made of steel and concrete and cooled by natural convection. Although spent fuel is usually cool enough to be transferred to dry casks after about 5 years, many plants allow their spent fuel pools to fill to near capacity and only transfer spent fuel to dry casks when extra storage space is needed. They also want to find alternatives such as putting them on an abandoned island, throwing them into space, encasing them in caves deep underground, and even throwing them into volcanoes. But the risks that come along with this outweigh the pros. Subtopic: what is the worst case of this disaster? Chernobyl accident in 1986 was the result of a flawed reactor design that was operated with inadequately trained personnel. The resulting steam explosion and fires released at least 5% of the radioactive reactor core into the atmosphere and downwind, some 5,200 pbq, I-131 Ec. 2 Chernobyl plant workers died on the night of the accident, and a further 28 people died within a few weeks as a result of acute radiation poisoning. Subtopic: effects of radiation. A dose of 100 rems will have probably caused some initial signs of radiation sickness, such as loss of white blood cells, nausea, vomiting, and headache. With a 300 rem dose you may lose hair temporarily, your nerve cells and those that line the digestive tract will be damaged. Along with these come several severe happenings including birth mutation, animal mutation, and other serious happenings mentioned in the picture you see now. I think in order to monitor this, we first need to educate the people who live near these nuclear power plants, which is pretty much everyone. Second, we need a safer place to store all of these nuclear power plants. My thought is actually build the plants under the ground so it is safer and bury the uranium into the ground and not into open caves. Thank you all for listening to this video. Smiley face. So, what do you think we should do about the nuclear power plants and spent nuclear fuel?